Hey everyone, this podcast is part of Story Mode, the podcast network of Gamefully Unemployed. You can support us and gain access to other great exclusive podcasts at patreon.com/gamefullyunemployed. That's patreon.com/GAMEFULLY unemployed, which is spelled like it sounds.
Hi everyone!
Hi everyone!
My name is David Bell.
My name is Tom Ryman.
And we just watched Lord of War.
Oh man, boy did we.
Could have called it Lord of Gwar. That would have been a cooler movie.
Yeah, yes. Yeah, it would have changed some things fundamentally about it, but I think that would have been a very different and very unique film that we would all still be talking about 15 years later.
Yeah.
There are over 550 million firearms in worldwide circulation. That's one firearm for every 12 people on the planet. The only question is, how do we arm the other 11? Selling guns is like selling vacuum cleaners. You make calls, pound the pavement. I supply to every army but the Salvation Army.
Can you bring me the gun of Rambo?
Part 1, 2, or 3.
I've only seen part 1.
It's Thursday, right? Yes. Hi, Thursday.
Yeah, hello Thursday.
That means it's
Fancy seeing you here again.
It means it's a Patreon pick for this one, and this
Indeed.
one was picked by Mr. DNA.
Mr. D&E.
Thank you so much. This is like, when was this made? It was clearly around the war in Iraq.
2005. I'm
checks
pretty
out.
sure.
This is a Nicolas Cage film. This is known for its beginning credits more than it's known for the film itself.
Right, yeah.
It is one of the most unique beginning credits of a movie. Who directed this? This is somebody directed this.
Andrew Niccol.
Oh yes, the director of Simone and In Time, Tom. I also left out Gattaca.
Well, he wrote Gattaca. Did he direct Gattaca?
He directed Gattaca as well.
All right.
And the classics film Simone and In Time. The movies we love. Mm-hmm. He also did Anon. Remember Anon?
Yeah, oh yeah.
So,
He also wrote The Truman Show.
Yeah. So there's some shit there. Tom, had you seen this before?
No.
Oh, yeah, I had seen it a long time ago, and I want to start by saying this is one of those movies that I think I always remember being better than it is. It's not. I don't know. What did you think of this?
I thought it was okay.
Yeah, me too. I don't think it's bad,
No.
but I always remember this film as being way better than it is.
Yeah, it's not like there's no particularly good performance in it. It's not. It's a pretty typical story of this kind, like The Blows and like Goodfellas and.
Yes, it's to the point that he's being chased by a helicopter in one scene.
In one scene, yeah. It seems like a cookie cutter true crime movie, narrated by the focal point of the criminal investigation.
Yes,
Who is Nicolas Cage's character?
You're right. I would say it's kind of unfortunate because you're right. This is everything that those movies, like especially Goodfellas, have. This is me when I grew up, and I always wanted to be in these crimes, and then I met a woman, and then she learns what I do, and then
she's mad at my crimes, and
yeah, and she leaves me, and I get away from it all, though, but at what a cost. I would say that this is more important of a subject.
This feels. I totally agree. This feels incredibly relevant.
Yeah, because
even
Nicolas Cage,
even 15 years later.
Yeah, spoilers, Nicolas Cage gets away with his crimes because the U.S. government helps him. And that's what I think sets this particular story apart from the others. It's just unfortunate that so many stories had been told like this already, and they didn't do too many unique things.
That's not its only flaws, but yeah.
Yes. I didn't like the writing, but
the writing's not great. Cage is not great in this.
No, he's pretty bored.
His narration is bad.
Yes. Even when he's at his most cage, which is doing cocaine with hyenas.
Yeah.
He's not even that cagey.
The most cage he gets is during his wedding scene where he tells his parents to go make yourself at home. Well, go on. Like, it's just,
yes.
There's not a long enough pause in between.
Yeah.
Like,
also, and this is probably an editing issue, but when he does his final arms deal and they're like doing pleasantries and he suddenly goes, "Where's my fucking money?"
Yeah.
And it's like out of nowhere, but it felt like an editing problem and not like it was almost like in post they're like, he needs to be more Nicolas Cage.
Yeah, or they felt like they needed to move the scene along because the movie is a little long. It's right at 2 hours. But yeah, that energy is not present up to that point. Like, he sort of gets press ganged a little into selling some more guns, but like not really that much.
Right.
So it just seems like he's very suddenly angry, and I suspect that there's some footage missing or something. I don't know.
Yeah, in the scene he's like suddenly angry.
Yeah, yes.
Because he's doing like weird pleasantries with the guy and then kind of explodes at him. And the cut's weird, so it really feels like It like feels like they lost the film on the take that made sense, and they had to use that one because the guy doesn't even react. Like Nicolas Cage just exploded at him.
Yeah, not really.
Yeah.
Have we said what this movie's about?
I don't know. This is about an arms dealer.
Yeah, he's a black market arms dealer, and it's about his rise to incredible power and prominence through the 80s and 90s.
Right.
But it's also about the larger picture of war profiteering, and the movie ends with title cards that informs us while this particular movie is based on true events. It says something like, "Yeah, this is based on true events, and while private arms dealers are a thing, by far the biggest arms dealers are these 5 countries, which also happen to be the 5 permanent members of the UN Security Council."
Yeah.
So which it's like the UN, I mean, it's US, UK, Russia, and China, I think, and I forget the others, but yeah.
Right. I wish the last caption was, "We probably should have done the movie about that."
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah. But no, it is sort of about that. I get where they're coming from. For people who don't know what the beginning credits are, it's the following, it's very mid-2000s opening. It's mostly CGI shot, kind of like as if a GoPro is attached to a bullet as it's getting made in a factory, inspected, shipped, loaded, and then shot in a kid's head.
Yep.
Yeah, and it's like, it's a real like, oh, god damn moment.
Yeah, the movie tells you right off the bat what it is.
Yeah. It's very in your face about that, I would say. And not, again, the subject matter is very important, but like they do a lot of like the first time they sell guns overseas, they do the thing where like they're being used to execute child soldiers and they fire through a wall, and Jared Leto's in this, by the way.
He sure is.
Yeah. Jared Leto's being Nicolas Cage in this. Jared Leto gets addicted to cocaine in minutes.
Yeah, instantly, and is a maniac for the rest of the movie.
Yeah, but it's him and Jared Leto, and they fire bullets through the wall, and then their money flies everywhere, so it's them like collecting their money and scrambling while they're shooting kids.
It's Nicolas Cage collecting the money. He's not even paying attention.
You're right.
Jared Leto is shaken by the fact that they're about to witness a bunch of kids get executed.
Right, which is part of Jared Leto's arc, which isn't really an arc. It's a steady line. I think that's an interesting thing they do in this, which, since it's narrated by the character, I appreciate that he doesn't understand certain things, because Jared Leto doesn't. It does seem like he gets like they get paid in cocaine. They do a little in a car, and like within hours, Jared Leto's gone, and then he finds him on a binge. And he says something like, "I don't know why he left. I don't know what went through his head," and stuff like that. Mm-hmm. But we as an audience know is that he can't deal with this.
Yeah, he can't deal with what they're doing, so he got high and disappeared for a couple of weeks.
Yeah, and they do a lot of that where Nicolas Cage like can't really. He's like pondering the motivations of people because he doesn't, like, the narrator doesn't understand why what he's doing is so terrible. Mm-hmm. He's a very cynical character.
Yeah, he does a lot of rationalization.
Yeah, it's different. It feels different than Goodfellas in that Goodfellas, you kind of understand where this person's coming from because it's still not a person that you're not on their side, but they do the thing where in Goodfellas it's like, since I was a kid, it was this thing that was all around me, and this was how I was brought up. And so it's like the only life he really knows. In this, Nicolas Cage is an immigrant from Ukraine, right?
Yes.
And he comes here and they run a restaurant, and then one day he's just like, I want to sell guns.
Mm-hmm.
And so it's less like, this is the environment I was in, and more like I made a conscious shitty decision.
Yeah. Yeah.
So you want to see him get caught more than like Goodfellas. Not that you don't want to see him get caught in Goodfellas, but you know what I mean. Like,
right, well, you get swept up in the narrative too. Just like in any of these movies you do, and you start. It's like Breaking Bad, where you're like you start to root against the authorities, even though the main character is just objectively a bad person that needs to be stopped.
I think the problem though is since Nicolas Cage isn't being Nicolas Cage, I was less invested in. I wanted him to get in trouble. Like what he's doing is so horrific, looking the other way during these massacres and stuff, that I kind of was just, you're just sort of waiting for him to get caught. And the I guess twist or the resolution is that no, he doesn't. This piece of shit walks free.
Well, he does get caught, but because he's so entrenched in this, like the U.S. is just like, well, we'll just keep using him, and also we've done business with him, so yeah,
it's man. I think the director also wrote this? It's not I'd say the broad strokes of the script are very good, but it's stuff like in like the first 30 or even 20 minutes, he has 2 lines that says selling guns is like blank. Did you notice that?
No, I only remember when he said the first time you sell a gun is like the first time you have sex. That's the only one I remember.
That's the first one. And then he says later, selling guns is like vacuum cleaners. There keeps being like those type of lines where like this movie, I think it like they when they do cocaine, they play the song Cocaine.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like, come on, guys.
Yeah, there's a couple of there's a lot of moments like that actually. The song choices almost always literally reflect what is happening on screen.
And the shots and stuff. He says stuff like, "My neighborhood was the end of the line," and they show a train, subway, and it's like, yep.
Well,
that's
I
the
mean,
thing.
in that line's defense, that's what he says. Like he said, I grew up in Little Odessa, which at that time, Little Odessa was to me the same thing it was to the Q train.
Right. And then they show it. I just didn't need them to show it.
Yeah, that's true. That's true.
These are little issues. They're very little issues.
Yeah.
Same with the writing. Like I said, I think the broad strokes are there. It's just everything's a little too on the nose. Like it's a little out of film school feel.
Right. It's not. It needs to be.
There's no.
I think it needs to be more subtle in some areas.
There's no subtlety. Like Nicolas Cage literally says, "I lost my whole family" and stuff like that. When like they very much have to say, like for example, when spoilers. I don't know why I'm saying spoilers. When Jared Leto ultimately rebels in like, I don't know, the coolest way you can in that situation, which is to huck a grenade.
Yeah.
They have a whole scene where he has to talk to Nicolas Cage. And like they really just needed him to see what was happening.
Yeah,
I guess he does need to reason with him or try to.
He tries to, yeah. I mean, because it's and they plant the seed for that, like we were saying, very early on after their first international sale, when they almost get hit by bullets coming through the wall of a firing squad, and Nick Cage is scrambling to pick up the cash, while Jared Leto's like actually affected by like, oh shit, we just helped all these kids get killed, and I'm realizing that.
Jared Leto is the one with the arc.
Yeah.
For the most part.
And it's not even really an arc, like you said. It's just kind of
it's a journey.
Right. He has this... Yeah. Yeah. It is technically an arc. But like that scene, for instance, it's very... That ending scene where they're doing their last arms... What ends up being their last arms deal, and Jared Leto finally is like, okay, I can't allow this to happen. They are literally... doing the arms deal, parked on a hill, and then like 100 yards away is the little village that they're about to massacre. Like they're doing the arms deal on a table set up in front of the village that they are then going to massacre.
Yeah, I don't want to victim blame or anything, but that village must have been looking up there and being like, "Oh, that's not good.
This is not good for us." Yeah, no, but
Yeah.
I mean, it's like playing the song "Cocaine" while they're doing cocaine. It's
Right.
like
It's all
like they had to
very
be
on the
parked
nose.
right. Really, they had to do the arms deal right in front of the village for us to make that connection. Because what happens is Jared Leto just literally looks over his shoulder and sees a woman and her young child get macheted to death by one of these
Right.
guerrilla armies.
Again, there's no subtlety. The part where his uncle gets blown up in a car is one of those things you can see a mile away.
It's so fucking funny.
It
Like
is,
that,
'cause
that scene is hilarious.
his uncle has an arc
his
in like a
uncle-
second.
His uncle's last words are "I'm the luckiest man in
Yeah.
the world," which
And
is
then
not
they-
it's not a sentiment he's ever expressed before up until this point.
Not at all. He also hands him his like booze, his flask, as if he's like quitting drinking in that moment. Mm-hmm. Like he has this quick arc, like I'm turning my life around, and it's like in that would be in a comedy. That would be in The Naked Gun.
Right? No, that's it's the gag from The Critic, where it's like he's watching like the Cop and a Half, where the partner always gets killed.
Right.
And it's like, oh, you think you got it bad. This week they paired me with, I forget, like a kid, a mime, and a leprechaun. I'll be your lucky charm. And then the leprechaun just explodes.
Right.
Like it's that gag.
Yeah, and the way they shoot it, it's all very like, oh, I'm about to watch that car explode.
Well, also the way they shot it, the abruptness of it, and just like the mystery that is Nick Cage's performance in this film. I couldn't tell if Nick Cage murdered him with the car bomb or not.
He winces like a ooh, that's gotta hurt.
Right, it's
wince.
not clear.
It's not like I'm oh my god. It's just like ooh.
Like you figure it out in the next scene that it was not.
Yeah.
It was Ian Holm that blew Ian Holm in the CIA that blew him up.
Ian Holm is in this.
Ian Holm is in this. He plays a rival arms dealer that works with the CIA pretty much through the Cold War.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's another thing. It's like his random explosion of anger at Andy, as he calls him, the warlord in
Right.
the end. Where it's like in all the scenes, Nick Cage's uncle plays a Ukrainian general. So as soon as the Soviet Union falls, Nick Cage moves in. He's basically using his Ukrainian general uncle to like make guns and missiles and helicopters disappear off the truck, essentially,
Yeah.
so he can sell them. So like in all those scenes leading up into this car bomb, his uncle is very nervous about it all. He's like, they're going to notice. Like, I can't keep skimming this much off. Somebody is going to notice. And then he's drunk all the time. Those are the two things we know about his character, is that he's very worried about this scheme they're in because he thinks they're going to get caught, and he's drunk all the time. So all of a sudden, we get this scene where he meets briefly with Ian Holm, and he tells Ian Holm to fuck off. He goes up to talk to Nick Cage, like, hey, your friend was here. I just told him to fuck off. And it's like, but we are going to need more money for bribes. And Nick Cage's like, don't worry, I put all the bribes in the backseat of your new car. And he's like, hey, I'm the luckiest man alive. And takes the car keys, hands him his flask that he has been married to up until this point, and then skips down the gangplank to his new car and explodes.
You forgot one step, which is him also saying, your rivals seem really interested in my car.
Oh, yeah.
Like it's like, it was very weird because it's like, we know what's like it's like they weren't sure we're going to understand what a car exploding was.
Mm-hmm.
So they had to like spell it out.
This movie really smacks of not trusting the audience, and that's what we've been saying about there's no subtlety and everything's very on the nose. Like, you know how, I know you know, Dave, but this is more listeners. You guys know how like you can tell when like a jump scare in a mirror is coming because of the way the shot is framed. Like you're just like, oh, something's going to pop up in that mirror. Like this sequence is filmed in a way that you know that car is going to explode.
Yeah, and there's a lot of that.
And
yeah,
there's a lot of that.
It's the amazing Jonathan bit where he gives the guy a generic can of nuts,
peanuts,
and tells him to open it, and he like holds, like it's a guy from the audience, he holds it away from his face, and then he opens it and it's just peanuts, and he's like, what the fuck is wrong with you? It's peanuts, man.
Yeah, what'd you think?
It's this movie is full of the tropes that movies have since subverted because they're so, I don't know. This guy, because again, Gattaca, Simone wrote The Truman Show. These are all movies that kind of slap you in the face with their message. I remember in Simone, there's a shot where the guy who creates Simone lost an eye creating Simone, like staring at the computer for too long. And he's in an alleyway and he reaches up and holds his eye. And in the background, a billboard with a giant eye goes by. And it's like, no, I get it. Film. His eye. I get it.
Yeah.
It's a lot of that. It's no subtlety. With broad stroke stories that aren't bad. Like Simone is an interesting idea for a movie. And in that one, Al Pacino is also, I believe, not really Al Pacinoing it up.
Which is a shame because that's like a role that calls for him to be like, wah!
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, Nick Cage is so understated in this movie. He's very muted, and I get
it's one of his only two modes.
Yeah, I get that it's a decision he's making, but like,
yeah,
he just comes like his narration is not very good, and it's a shame because it's like that's like most of the movie is his narration.
Yeah, like, the guy's gonna do Brown and not freak out. Like they do some. Like, again, there's more subtle Nicolas Cage moments, but he does Brown, which is cocaine mixed with gunpowder, which I wouldn't be surprised if that guy at the bar just made it up to fuck with him.
Yeah, no,
and then
that's not
he
a
leaves,
thing.
and they're like, oh my God, he did it.
Wow, he really did it. That's not a thing that anybody does.
Yeah. And there's like, he goes on like it's very, his cocaine bender, it's a very funny drug moment in a movie because it's like generic drug montage because like cocaine doesn't make you hallucinate. And he's also drinking, so he's drunk. Mm-hmm. But they do it like he just took peyote. It's really weird. And then like the two guys corner him, and one of them tries to shoot him, and the AK jams, and Nicolas Cage is like, "Oh shit, they shouldn't do that. I'm sorry about that."
Right,
and, like,
that was really great. Yeah, like
which is great. Yeah,
yeah. And that was a little better handled. There's an earlier moment that I still really liked, even though they hit you over the head with it. It's when he's first. I keep wanting to call the guy General Butt Fucking Naked. But he's Andre is his name.
Yeah,
it's the first time we meet Andre, and he's selling him guns. And he's looking at handguns, and then he's like talking about how the Glocks are nice because you can get through a lot of security with them. But if you want a gun that's like has a lot of stopping power and precision and won't jam, the 357 Magnum. And so he loads the 357 Magnum and shoots one of his own guards, who's like flirting with one of his women. And Nick Cage is like, why the fuck did you do that? And like pulls the gun away from him. And like General Butt Fucking Naked's men all start to react.
Right.
And like they get really pissed. Like, and he's like, he's like, giving Nick Cage this look like, oh, okay, I'm going to have to shoot this guy because he's like yelling at me. And Nick Cage is like, it's a used gun. Like, now you have to buy it. It's a used gun. I can't sell a used gun. And he immediately opens the barrel and starts like blowing the gunpowder out of it and wiping it down and stuff to try and like correct the fact that it's been used. And that's like a really good. I really enjoyed that moment because it's like, okay, this is what he's really about. Like, it's like,
yes.
This is how he's able to deal in mass murder and have it not touch him.
You can tell he is affected by the murder of that guy he first says it, and then he saves it a moment later.
Yeah. But like, it's not entirely a work either.
Yes. No, he's able to do that.
Like, he is legitimate.
Most people wouldn't be able to do that.
Right, yeah, like, because he's like, oh shit, he just shot that guy. And like, maybe just like that's like 100%. And maybe at like 98% in his mind is, fuck, this gun is used now, I can't sell it.
Right.
Like,
yeah, his whole bit is that like, he doesn't use guns. He doesn't like his son has a toy gun. He throws it out. Mm-hmm. Like, he doesn't like, well, he clearly likes guns, but he doesn't want to use a gun. Mm-hmm. And then of course that leading up into the Brown, he is made to shoot Ian Holm in the face, mm-hmm. By this same guy, this general. Or this President Andre. I'm calling him General Butt Fucking Naked just because that's what I'm thinking of. Right. And like he kind of brings Nicolas Cage down because he can tell like this guy doesn't want to get his hands dirty.
Right.
He just wants to make
it's
money.
like this false boundary he's made for himself. Like this actually is a subtle thing that they don't, because he never flat out says this. And it's interesting that I'm giving the movie credit for not doing the obvious subtle thing, but hey, it does the obvious subtle thing for so many other things. Mm-hmm. But we get it, clear from him throwing his son's toy gun away, to him not wanting to shoot Ian Holm, to a scene later where we don't hear it in his narration. It's when he's talking with his wife, and then also later with Jared Leto, where he's like, "Look, we're not forcing anybody to use these. We're just providing guns. Most of what I do is legal. It's just getting around certain trade laws and embargoes." It's clear that he's invented this boundary for himself where he's like, well, I can sell them all I want. As long as I don't ever actually shoot anyone myself, I'm fine.
Right. These weird moral, where he just feels it's a very like sociopath reasoning.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's a dissociative thing to do, sort of. Well, not really dissociative, but it's just like, well, if I'm not doing this, then I'm not really participating, so that's fine.
That's how he can sleep at night.
Exactly, yeah.
It's that's one of the best parts of this, and one of the best parts of Nick Cage in this is when he has to make the argument, like to his wife who is waiting for him naked. I assume she'd been sitting on that bed for a while.
Probably, yeah.
He walks in and she learned what he does, and she's sitting on the bed in the dark naked, and he walks in like, I'm home, and she's like, I can't wear any of the clothes. I can't drive the car. It's all got blood on it. And then he like puts a nightgown on her, and she instantly gets in it, which to me meant that she's not like traumatized in that moment. She was just like, I have a good bit, so I'm gonna get naked and sit here until like I know he's coming home around like 9:30. So to be safe around like 8:50, maybe 8:45, I'll get naked, sit on this bed, and I'll just listen. Like, what else? That's the only thing that could have happened, right?
Judging by all the evidence we're given in this sequence, yes, that is precisely what happened.
It's very, Yeah,
I mean,
it's a very 90s scene.
Yeah.
But yeah, Nicolas Cage's best. Yeah, his best moments are him being like the sleazebag, trying to argue of why like it's not so bad. What I'm doing isn't so bad. Like I think when he's just in the moment trying to sell things and stuff like that, it's when he's at his most Nicolas Cage in this.
Yeah,
for sure. We haven't talked about Ethan Hawke.
Gattaca's Ethan Hawke.
He's a little baby-faced in this.
This is 15 years ago, you got to remember.
Yeah, it's wild.
Yeah, this is only 4 years after Training Day.
Whew.
And I think maybe 6 or 7 after Gattaca, right? Like, wasn't Gattaca late 90s?
Yeah, probably. Yeah, he's the guy who's going to get Nicolas Cage, and he's a Boy Scout. And Nicolas Cage uses that against him. I liked his, like, when he lands the plane and the other guy's like, we can disappear him right now.
Yeah, the other guy's like, please let me machete him to death.
Yeah, for the love of God.
Allow me to machete him.
Yeah. I like the, because the idea is that he's flying. Where is he flying? I forget.
He's flying somewhere in Africa. And so he's like, they end up landing in Sierra Leone. I don't think that's where they were headed. I think they were headed to General Butt Fucking Naked, but I'm not positive. Yeah,
because Ethan Hawke basically catches him and is like, you got to go fly to this airport. And instead he lands on the road. And because he knows that the planes won't land there and they have to get in a truck and drive to him, which gives him like 15 minutes to basically get rid of the evidence. And he does it by delighting a village. What a great afternoon those people must have had. Like if I was a teenager and someone landed a plane in my neighborhood and was like, you want an RPG? I'd be like, yeah.
I'd be like, kind of, yeah.
Yeah.
Actually, can I have that?
Yeah, I'm going to have a great time.
Yeah.
Until I suddenly don't.
Right. Until you blow your fucking family apart or something.
Yeah, exactly.
Blow your house
up. He opens the plane and he's like, everybody take the guns, free guns. And like for people who are, poor and starving, it's like, well, they're not going to use the guns. They'll probably sell them. But everybody's like, fuck yeah, I'll take a gun.
Yeah.
And everybody just unloads the shit. It feels a little unrealistic that like it's like a family event. Like all these like men, women, and children are all like, woo!
Well, if you lived in a war-torn area of the world where there's constantly powers, different groups fighting for power, and you're just kind of stuck in the middle of it, and you're dirt ass poor. Like a gun is either defense or something you can sell in that situation.
Yeah, exactly. That's what it's funny how like immediately willing and happy. But yeah, you're right. Like, and again, if I was just, right, if somebody 15.
Landed on, like, pulls a plane up in the cul-de-sac, it's like, you want this RPG? I'd be like, kind of, yeah. Can I have it?
Yeah, I was gonna say, what am I saying now? Yeah. Right now, now I have the wisdom to ask why.
Yeah, why are you giving this to me?
What did you do with it? But man, free RPG. I mean, come on. Like, again, that's an afternoon. That's a hell of an afternoon all those people had.
Mm-hmm.
Because like an RPG, where I guess they might know where, but like I wouldn't know where to sell an RPG. So I would just, go out into a field somewhere.
Yeah, ideally, yeah.
Shoot straight up at the sky and see if it comes down. You think it comes straight down?
No, I think it has an arc to it. I think, like worms.
Oh, like worms.
Yeah.
What if I went straight up? Like right straight up?
I don't know. I feel like it still comes down, maybe not directly on top of you. I don't know. It's you're either going to blow yourself up or you're going to blow a house up like 2 miles away.
I'd move. I'd shoot it up and then try to dodge it.
Yeah, that would be fun. That'd be a fun death certificate for the coroner to fill out.
Yeah, there's a lot of fun stuff you can do with an RPG.
Mm-hmm. Well,
I don't know. What else would you do?
There's one fun thing you can do with an RPG, and that's blow something up.
That's true. But 2 RPGs, you could do some.
Now
fun
you can
stuff.
joust.
Yeah, you can joust. Oh my god, what a good idea! Blowing up horses. Oh man, yeah, he offloads so many RPGs on these people. He does,
yeah, it's an absurd amount.
Yeah, that seems like a burden to have. It's like having a grenade. Like if I had a grenade right now in my apartment, like what am I going to do with it? Like, yeah, right, if I lived in the country, I know exactly what to do.
Yeah, that's like having a cougar in your house because you're like, well, I can't. Yeah. Like, I'm not. I don't feel comfortable being in the room with it, but also I can't throw it away.
Right,
like, I can't put it in a garbage can.
I can't go outside and use it. I'd have to drive, hours to the desert.
Yeah.
That's probably what I do, to be honest.
And then set it free in the desert where it belongs.
Set it free. Exactly. And then run like hell. I'd set off a grenade and then I'd get out of there.
Yeah. Yep.
Because even in the desert, I feel like someone might report it.
Mm-hmm.
Who can say? But yeah, in like my apartment, like that's not even good for home protection.
No, what are you going to do with that?
That would be amazing. Like imagine robbing a house and then you're just confronted with someone holding a grenade, and they're just like, "I'll send us both to hell right now."
Yeah, I've got nothing to lose. You're holding all my belongings right now.
Exactly. that stereo was my life, and you're holding it right now. What are you gonna do? What are we? Lord of War.
Mm-hmm.
Jared Leto. He fancy stalks his wife. Future wife.
He does. He does an elaborate gaslighting scheme to her.
Yeah,
like where she's a model that was from the same village in Ukraine that he was from, and he just like engineers a fake photo shoot, rents out the entire hotel so that nobody will disturb them, and then like sort of invents like a fun meeting story where it's like, oh, we both happened to be at this hotel where nobody else was, and my photo shoot got canceled.
He really Truman shows their date.
He truly does, yeah.
He is the Ed Harris of their date.
Yep.
Yeah, he makes like a meet cute. And then he pretends to own a private jet that he rented.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of painting stuff on vehicles.
There's a lot of hasty vehicle painting in this movie.
Yeah.
It's got a real like A-team feel to it.
Yeah.
In some scenes.
First, yeah, it does. In the first 30 minutes of this movie, he's married and has a kid.
Yeah.
They really rush that.
Yeah, they want to get to the good stuff.
And it's like a weird, again, they're really doing Goodfellas, where it's like he sort of lies, but it's almost like they try to have it both ways, because she's also like, look, I know you do bad things, but I don't want to know. And then she gets like upset when she learns he does bad things later. And I was like, well, lady, what did you think he did?
Yeah, we had this conversation. Also, weirdly, they have this conversation at their wedding.
Yeah.
Like, she just confronts him after they've been married. It's like, this is probably a discussion you should have had before today.
It's one of the things I think Goodfellas does better than, this movie, and I think a lot of mob things, is they really, like, in Goodfellas, they focus on why his wife is interested in him. Like, she falls in love with Ray Liotta. Like, the courting process involves him pistol whipping a man in the face several times.
Breaking his face in the driveway, and he gives her the gun.
And she's like, I'm going to marry this man.
Yeah.
Like, she's complicit. At no point is she in Goodfellas like, I can't believe you're doing this.
She's counting his money at one point. Oh, no, wait, I might be thinking Debbie Mazar.
Oh, I
think I am, yeah. It's one of his girlfriends later in the movie. He's like actually helping his operation. But like they're doing like, by the end, I love when they're getting chased by the police helicopter and they're at rock bottom and he's got like cocaine sweats and she's flushing all the cocaine. Yeah.
And they got like tacky 70s, 80s, like rich people stuff.
Yeah.
Oh, I love it.
And he
That's how I want to live.
Blows up on her for flushing like $10 million of coke.
Yeah. Oh, that's great. I want to watch Goodfellas.
Sure, man.
Yeah, but they're a little unclear with her. It's almost like she's whatever they need her to be.
She's a non-character.
Yeah, because she is she's like a really like they give her some stuff. They like, oh, she's an artist. Oh, she's an actress. She's a model. But it feels very superficial. And then when he's like trying to reason with her, she says something like, I'm a failed actress, I'm a failed model, I'm a failed this, I'm not a good mother. And I'm just like, Jesus, lady. Mm-hmm. Like, you're fine, lady. And then she's like, I won't be a shitty person though, or I won't fail at being a person. But like, yeah, we're just kind of told what she is. We don't really see it. And again, I don't know why she's surprised that he's an arms dealer. What did she think he was doing?
It's never, I don't know. It's they really hand wave it. Like, he tells her he's in shipping.
Right. And then she says like, I know you're not, but I won't ask questions. Mm-hmm. But like, if you know someone's up to something seedy and they're constantly traveling overseas, mm-hmm. What else would they be?
Right. I think you sort of void your right to be indignant with them about it.
Yeah. If you've conceded that. But like, what's the alternative? Was she like, oh, I thought you were into fucking human trafficking, but this?
I don't know.
This is too much.
Like I said,
anything, yeah.
They really hand wave it. So it's like, she's a completely unbelievable character.
Yeah. She knows he does a lot of crime travel.
Right. She knows he's criming. He's out criming. There's nothing else he could be doing.
Yeah. This moment I like because I can't tell if the movie's self-aware. I think it is that when he promises to go straight and he does for like 6 months, what he does is still evil.
Yes, yeah.
Like, he's still exploiting third world countries.
Yeah, he's selling timber and
legal
oil
exports.
Yeah. Timber and oil.
He says it. He says something like, luckily there were still third world like, you can still legally exploit these countries.
Yeah.
So it felt like the movie was self-aware, but it was just funny that no redemption.
No, not at all. He still talks about like exploitable species in that phone call.
Yes, he does.
Yeah. I just, while we were recording, I read just a couple of quick facts about this movie, and the one that stuck out to me the most was that not a single U.S. studio would finance this film.
Oh, I wonder why.
Because it's extremely critical of the United States.
Yeah. That's like, remember when they were shooting Independence Day and they had cooperation of the military, and then the military is like, but you can't do Area 51 stuff, and they're like, well, we kind of have to, and they're like, all right, we're not going to cooperate. And if I was Roland Emmerich, I'd be like, why?
Yeah, why?
What
do you got in there?
What you got over there? Yeah. Why are you so sensitive about that place?
Yeah.
Yeah, no, that checks out.
Yeah. You know, a movie did get the cooperation of the military.
What?
Fucking Top Gun, baby.
Yeah.
Because that's a Navy recruitment video.
Yeah. Weird note. What the fuck was that interrogation room?
Oh, I don't know. It was like, that like sex dungeon.
Yeah, it was like the bathroom of a nightclub. It was so fucking weird.
It was like one of the rooms in Hostel.
Yeah. It's just like, it's got like neon, like that kind of wall neon lighting that's like receded into the wall. And it's like orange and blue. And it's like concrete. Like it's so, and it's barren.
Yeah.
Except for like a table and chairs. And it's like,
not at any symmetrical point in the room either. The table and chair is randomly thrown in there.
what's going on in that office?
It's,
like, do you think there's people who are like, you know, we could work out of that room, but you have to make it your interrogation room?
And really, this big ass room? You know, this whole, it's like that room is like the size of my house, like my floor plan. It's
way too big.
Cavernous room with a single table and chairs in it.
Right. Like, I've never interrogated somebody, but I'd imagine
not
you put them in
officially, no, certainly not in any official aspect.
For the record, for the podcast, I've never interrogated anyone for the government.
No, not in an official capacity, for sure.
Right. But, like, I would do it, hypothetically, in a small room where they feel, you know, claustrophobic. Mm-hmm. Not like a cool big room. And, like, was there levels to the room? I felt like there were levels.
There might have been.
I don't know. It's like a loft.
Mm-hmm.
It's like it's a loft. Like it's like the, I don't know. Yeah, it's sex dungeon. It's a sex dungeon. That's the only thing you could say about it.
Yeah, it's a sexnasium.
Yeah, it's very weird. It's a very weird choice for this film. Like, it really
Ethan
stood
Hawke
out.
asks his cues in the sexnasium.
Yeah, poor Ethan Hawke. He was a very compelling character, I thought. He's really Ethan Hawking it up.
Yeah.
Like, he's really intense.
Yeah. He was very much the lawful good character in your D&D party.
Yeah. Yeah, he's just like so irritated by the fact that he's so good.
Yeah, he's so bound by the rules.
Yeah. So, like, Nicolas Cage does stuff where he's like, he's moving a helicopter with missiles on it, and he separates the missiles from the helicopter, gives them two different destinations, and it's technically legal.
Yeah, he just takes the missiles off and gives it a different shipping label, and there's nothing Ethan Hawke can do about it.
Which I thought that was clever. Almost all the others, like, he does this thing where he gives, like, in the narration, like, tips almost on how to sell guns and ship guns, and, like, he says them so clever sometimes, where he's like, sometimes I'll label them as something else, but they're really guns.
Right.
And it's like, yeah, no shit, Nicolas
Where he's
Cage.
like, sometimes I spoke in code, where AK-47 was Angel King. It's like,
right.
I think Nick Cage is like really congratulatory in that delivery. It's like, I think the ATF agents listening to that call figured that out within 10 seconds.
Yeah.
Angel King. They write it down. Angel King. Oh, he's talking about AKs. He's talking about AKs.
Yeah, he keeps talking about shipping Angel Kings, and he uses the word a lot. Gee, I wonder what it is. It's another case of them, like, slapping the audience with this. Like, they really think we're dummies. I don't know. Were we dummies in 2005?
Maybe?
I don't think we were.
Yeah, I don't know.
Cinematically, we were probably kind of dummies, but, like, not like, again, like, if you're going to smuggle things, you put it in something, like, if you're going to get a candy bar into the movie theater, what do? You put it in something that doesn't look like it has a candy bar.
Yeah, you stick it in your asshole, right?
Exactly, yeah.
That's everybody.
You put it right up your ass.
You shove it up your ass, because
otherwise they're going to find it.
They never check there.
It's, 100% of the time I've gone into a movie theater, they've never checked my asshole.
No,
not once.
It has not happened.
Yep,
it's a real big loophole you can exploit at the movie theater.
Mm-hmm. If you take them out of the bag, you can get Skittles up there.
Yeah, man, you jam a whole bucket of popcorn and soda up there.
Yeah, you're like a little soda dispenser in the theater.
Yeah, you just kind of lift a cheek up and squirt it into a cup.
Squirt it into the cup. Yeah. If you get Skittles in there, that's fine
you get
too.
Skittles and
like,
popcorn,
that's the only problem.
It's all going to the same. I mean, well, it's like the famous bowl. It's all going to the same place. You might as well just mix it together.
The same place.
This is taking a turn.
What, squirting Skittles and soda out of your asshole in a dark theater?
Yeah, well, watching
playing Ice Age in a theater, playing Ice Age. Remember Ice Age?
Yeah, watching planes.
Yeah,
just shitting Dr. Pepper into a cup.
Yeah, with some Skittles, maybe some Reese's Pieces in there.
Sure, do it, man.
Yeah, it's gross. I have no more thoughts on Lord of War.
We've talked a lot about other films too. So it's like,
well, yeah, I mean, this movie, it's okay. I'm not mad at it.
No, I enjoyed the movie fine while I was watching it. It's just, I think its biggest problem is it has a good leading man, but he's not really he's not giving it his all in this movie. So Nick Cage isn't carrying the movie the way he should be, and
I like the
it's
actors
derivative.
Playing the president and the warlords.
Oh yeah, he was good.
They're killing it.
Yeah.
That's like, I think, one of those things that actors were like, we want you to play a warlord, and they're like, fuck yeah.
Oh hell yeah.
Because that's got to be a blast.
Yeah.
It's like, we want you to play a man who you feel like he could shoot you at any moment.
Anytime, I imagine, because this is how I would react, but I imagine like any time like an actor gets approached and like, okay, we want you to do this kind of over the top villain. You're like, yes, obviously, yes.
Yeah.
I want to do this immediately.
Yeah. But yeah, I think again, going all the way back to the start of this, is why this is a movie that I always remember being good, and not remembering much else because it's not particularly memorable.
Yeah.
Like the scene by scene stuff. Mm-hmm. I knew that Brown was in it, but I didn't remember the details.
Yeah.
And so like,
it's impressive.
Yeah,
it's not often you forget the deets of Brown.
Exactly. But yeah, it's kind of like a steady line, this movie. Mm-hmm. It doesn't have too many peaks and valleys. The message, the broad strokes that you'll remember are very significant and important.
Yeah.
So yeah, I don't know. I want to watch a documentary of this same subject.
Yeah, I think for sure. I would be super interested in that, and there's probably a few that exist.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, it's just, this is overall it's fine. Right. It's just kind of derivative, so it's not particularly memorable.
If someone told you Nicolas Cage is making a movie where he does a lot of cocaine and sells guns, you'd expect something a little more memorable.
You would expect Scarface.
Yeah, but with Nicolas Cage.
Yeah, not Lord of War, which is kind of like muted Nicolas Cage. Not what I expected.
It is. Yeah. But yeah, it's fine.
Yeah, it's fine.
All right. I think that concludes our thoughts.
Yeah, that is the end of our thoughts on Lord of War.
We have officially recorded, put on record our thoughts on Lord of War.
We did it. It happened.
We will continue this quest to have documentation of our thoughts of every movie ever made.
Mm-hmm. We're on our way. We're on our way, man.
We are. We
got to be at least halfway there by now.
At least. Thank you, Mr. DNA.
Thank you, Mr. DNA.
Yeah. You're great. You're great. Thank you for giving us Lord of War. Mm-hmm. I hadn't seen this movie in so long, so it was like a nice rewatch. Very enjoyable. If people are interested, they can go on our Patreon, which is patreon.com/gamefullyunemployed. If you go on there, you'll find exclusive podcasts like Tom and Jeff Watch Batman and Fox Mulder is a Maniac. We also have tiers where you can produce Hypecast. You can be a Hypecast producer, get a shout out. You can make us watch movies with a tier of We Just Watched.
Yeah.
So
like this.
Yeah. Yeah. Check it out. Check it out.
We also have a store, tpublic.com/store/gamefullyunemployed. We're going to get t-shirts, mugs, stickers, posters, masks, all kinds of things. Brown.
Yep.
Helicopters, grenades, RPGs. Check it out.
We should sell grenades. I bet we'd get more money if we sold grenades.
If we sold little sheave grenades, yeah, those would probably sell.
Sheave grenades.
They would sell like hotcakes.